Welcome to A Shot of Ag. I'm your host, Rob Sharkey. They say the world is ruled by those who show up. Well, today's guest is proof of that. Today we're talking with Kent Kleinschmidt from Emden, Illinois. How you doing, Kent?
I'm doing good.
Did I say it right, Emden?
You did.
Okay, where is that?
Basically about straight south of here. We're about 15 miles north, straight north of Lincoln, or 15 miles straight west of McLean. So.
Gotcha. You farm down there? Is that where you grew up?
I live like 2 miles from where I grew up. We farm in Tazewell, Logan, and McLean counties. We actually live barely in Logan County. Where I grew up was barely in Tazewell County. And my wife's from McLean County, so we farm ground over in McLean County.
So your farm ground is probably more level than this desk?
Some of it is, and some of it's more like that. So.
Must be rough.
We have combination of soils, soil types and slopes. So I always tell people on a dry year, the flat black stuff does really good. On a really wet year, the rolling stuff doesn't have water stand on it. So it'll out yield flat black stuff that water can't get off of quick enough. So it's kind of nice to have the combination.
Now, are you farming or are you retired? And be honest.
So I retired on paper, as my wife put it, about 3 years ago. Our youngest son is farming full time. We did a 5-year transition where I was turning over 20% of the ground a year to him. So he was easing his way into it, and then I was easing my way out of it. And at the end of the 5 years, he was farming everything, and I'm only getting portions of the ground that we own now. So.
Okay. I don't think I've ever heard that done before. It seems like a common sense way to do it for both sides.
Yeah, it's not like I quit totally and then I've got a bunch of income without expenses, to offset it for tax-wise. And that way he could build some equity in. And I didn't want him to start farming and have a bunch of debt to start with. So that's what we came up with, and it worked well. So
when I bought my dad out, basically we had someone come in and appraise the equipment. And then Dad said, well, if you buy this, we'll do it over 10 years, no interest, and then you can have everything. And the more I got thinking about that, because it's intimidating at a young age to take on that much debt. But then, it's like even a log chain. I've never bought a log chain. And then you find out how expensive they are, but yet Dad always had them there. All the stuff you get with a farm people seem to forget how much that's worth too.
Yeah, and my dad retired, and I bought machinery from him over several years again. So we were kind of used to that. So yeah, like you're saying, tools, log chains, stuff like that. That's just there. It's like I'm not going to make my son pay for that, and some of it came from my dad. I didn't pay for, so it's just part of the operation.
Yeah. Well, okay. You went to Southern, huh?
Yep, went out of high school down there for 4 years, got a degree in general ag because I was planning on coming back to farm, and that was what happened, so.
Where'd you meet Sarah?
We met in high school. She's 2 years younger than me, so.
You rascal.
We started going out March of my senior year, so that fall after that, I went to Southern, so we had a long-distance relationship for the next 2 years, and then she joined me.
She's dating a college guy at that point, right?
Yeah,
so she thinks it's cool.
But I'm dating a high school girl, but whatever. And anyway.
Rules were a little different back then.
So she followed me down there, and she was a math major, and then I graduated. Southern was on quarters at that time, and I graduated a quarter early, and then so she was down there a quarter without me, and then we got married that following summer. So then she switched to ISU and finished. She commuted to ISU to finish her degree then.
Oh, wow. That was nice of her.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. How long you been married?
This summer will be 52 years.
52 years.
I know I look like I got married when I was 10, but whatever. But
Can't I do the jokes, okay?
Oh. Sorry.
52 years. That's amazing. What is the secret?
Tolerance, because...
Be careful, she's listening.
I know.
Yeah.
She'll agree with me because I do stuff that she's not happy with, and she does stuff I'm not happy with, and
What does she do that you can't stand?
I can't say.
That's how you get to be married for 52 years. Now, you came back to farm. You farmed with your dad, correct?
Yes, and we farmed together, and then he retired when he was 65, but then he helped me, much like I am now, spring and fall, and then he passed away in 2000. So then I basically farmed on my own for several years until my son started helping, and now he's full-time. So it's kind of been a different, I was the helper, and then I was the boss, and I was the only guy, and then I was a boss, and now I'm the other guy. So just a helper guy now. So
I worked for my dad too, and now my oldest son works for me, and it's amazing that like my dad was always wrong, and now my son is always wrong.
Yeah, you'll have that. It's the hardest thing I think about that is just I was always the one ordering seed, and it's like, okay, it's like I'm just stepping away and let him do that. And so some of those management decisions that I don't have to make anymore, it's hard to give up, but after you do, and you do it a couple of years, it's like, okay, I don't have to worry about that. So
but you know what you know because you screwed up in farming, right? And now you are going to watch him screw up. Is that tough?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, because he doesn't always do things like I did it. So
sometimes that's good.
Well, yeah. I mean, like the technology stuff.
Yeah.
He's way better at that than I am.
I believe you.
Yeah, but there's other stuff that he's never run our sprayer. He doesn't want to. So he's already told me, as soon as you retire from spraying, it'll all get higher done, because he doesn't want to do that. So, so to save money, I'm going to keep spraying.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, do you mow the ditches? Who does that?
He started doing that last year.
Okay.
I'd always done that, and it's like, my wife actually pushed that. She goes, Chad could be doing that. I go, yeah, you're right. So
that's what I want to do. Just retire, and I'll just mow the ditches.
See, that's not a fun job for me. So
I don't mind it. I'm going to start mowing like in mid-April.
Good for you. Have you seen the price of diesel?
I don't care. It'll be the Suns at that point. Okay, you're very involved in off-farm stuff, off-farm leadership. You've done a lot of things. At one point, you were the state president of the Illinois Corn. Is that right?
Yeah. I'll go back before that. In high school and college, I did not get involved with. I never wanted to be running something, be president of anything or whatever. And when we got married and we were young, and we were part of the Farm Bureau Young Farmers at that time, now it's Young Leaders, and I got involved. And then I went through ALOT and got some training there.
It's Illinois Ag Leaders of Tomorrow. It's a Farm Bureau leadership program. It teaches you how to be more of a leader.
Yeah, and to get involved. And so anyway, I did that, and I went right from there into Illinois Ag Leadership Foundation. And I guess I got confidence that I could do some of that stuff.
Well, and for people because we're talking acronyms that we know, but Illinois Ag Leadership, I equate that, it's almost like a master's program for leadership in agriculture. Yeah. Two-year program.
And it's a mix of ag business people and ag farmers. And so it's an interesting mix, because I would sit there and think of a question, and then some banker or insurance guy would ask a question. It's like, I would never thought of asking that. So it's a good mix of people. Anyway, I got.
What year did you go through?
The second one, like 86.
Oh, back in the day.
Yeah, second class. So
right.
a long time ago.
Where'd you go?
Well, in state, we went to Chicago and St. Louis and
They didn't
Champaign.
do international back then?
Yeah, and then the national trip was to D.C., and we went to Knoxville, Tennessee, and through the Carolinas. International, we went to Japan and Taiwan.
Oh.
So I thought, I'm a young farmer. I'll never be in this part of the world again. Turned out I was wrong. So
you went back to Japan?
And Taiwan.
Oh.
2 more times.
For leadership stuff?
When I was on the corn marketing board, they fund USAPEAC and US MEF and Grains Council, and I went on a Meat Export Federation trip that went to Japan and Taiwan, and then a few years later, Grains Council trip that went to Japan, Taiwan, and they threw in China. So it was interesting. You know, different, out of your normal comfort zone, I guess.
Well, I mean, listen to this whole thing before you get mad at me. You're a farmer from Emden, right? You're gonna farm there and whatever. When have you ever gone to a place like China and Japan? And that's what this leadership offers you. And it's not like a reason to do it, but it's, for the people that haven't done it, sometimes they look, oh, they're just traveling. No, it's not. It's a lot more to that. You're actually doing things there to promote agriculture back here.
Grains Council trip was in the wet fall, late fall was 10 or 9.
9, yep.
So I went the next November, December. So we had just finished the next harvest. So we were there to tell our customers that what we just harvested was good quality, and they had to put up with 09 crop that was, you know, not the best.
It was pretty rough, yeah.
Yes. So we were there to assure them that we had good quality corn coming to them in the future. So those were some tough meetings.
Yeah.
One tip I'll give to you and other people, if you go in another country and they're using an interpreter, if you want to find out if they really know English, tell a little joke, and if they laugh immediately, you know that they can hear and understand English. And they use the interpreter for a few seconds to think of their answer. If you ask them a question and they listen to the interpreter,
what
they've
if you're
already
just
heard
not
it.
that funny?
Well, that's on you, I guess.
Did you do that? Did you like slip in a joke? And
I did.
And then you're like, that guy there.
By accident, and then they start laughing. I thought, okay, they understand English. So that's my tip for the day.
Okay, that's good to know. You'll only learn that on PBS.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were the president of the corn growers.
Yep.
Yeah, and is that a 1-year term?
A 1-year term.
Okay.
And I will recommend that. By the time you're president, they have you well versed in what you need to know. So by the time you're president, you're doing radio or TV interviews or in person, you know your stuff. So they do a good job of giving you the background information.
I mean, just with this interview here, you're doing a really good job of communicating. Is that natural? You've always been able to do that, or have you kind of learned it with this leadership
I've
stuff?
learned it with that.
Yeah.
Well, I got a story, I'll tell it later, but we did some leadership training or speaking training, and one of the tips was, do visuals. So I brought a visual with me, and there's a story to go along with that, but to be animated and just have something to show. I mean, you do a good job of having something to show. So, tips like that I've picked up through the years.
That's actually really good advice. I just make fun of people for 30 minutes at a time.
Okay. Well,
yeah. All right, let's talk about the 30-10.
Okay. So years ago, the federal government Department of Transportation was going to implement a whole bunch of rules that applied from semis all the way down, and it basically would have, if you had a wagon, that 60s model, 60s era.
That's like what, a
200 bushel.
200, a little
200
fella.
bushel wagon
Okay,
would have been under the same things, same rules as a semi. So lights and turn signals and all this stuff.
Well, who are you to question the government?
So Ray LaHood was the director of transportation in the Obama administration, and he'd been my congressman, so I knew him. And we had a meeting with him. So I took the advice of having visuals, so I took some pictures like that. I stood beside this 1962 3010 John Deere tractor my dad bought new and a 200 bushel wagon, and I said, here's what would be under the guidelines, the same as a semi. I said, this is ridiculous. So I passed my pictures around the room, and before we left, Ray goes, can I keep some of those pictures? I said, sure. So
you look good in that picture.
I assume that.
That's how you're married 52 years.
I assume that some of my pictures are still in the archives of Department of Transportation, And they dropped those recommendations too, by the way. So
The 3010 is a great tractor.
I thought I was part of the solution to the problem. So
Okay. Well, talk about visuals. Look at this bad boy. That doesn't come off, does
it does.
Oh.
It's heavy.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
Wait, just talk about it.
So Illinois Corn Growers gives a World of Corn Award every year.
The World of Corn Award.
And I won this in, I think, 17. But you mentioned I was president of Illinois Corn Growers. I was on the chairman of the Corn Marketing Board, which is also a corn organization. So I had done both, and I'd been on our county corn growers. So it's a reward for putting your time in and doing a good job. So
Yeah, so the World of Corn Award. That's a nice, you got to be careful when you say that, because I mean, it's a phallic looking thing as it is.
I'm not going to touch that. That's up to you.
It's PBS. Well, it says something about you. Obviously, your leadership was valued by other people, so that has to make you feel good.
Yeah. I also got Farm Bureau or Prairie Farmer Master Farmer Award, which is kind of a award that they give for involvement in more than one organization. So I've done stuff with Farm Bureau and also corn. So
do you bribe judges for that?
I do not. So
Okay.
didn't even know who the judges were. So
okay. Don't you? Am I dreaming, or do you get like a jacket for that, like the golf people?
no.
Oh, okay.
You get a plaque. And
Okay.
the original one, the emblem was made out of gold.
Oh,
now
like
it is
actual
not.
gold?
Gold.
Well, you can hawk that thing.
Yeah, well, that was 30, in the 30s, I think, when they started that. So mine is not made out of gold. So,
Ah, it's too, because it's like $1,000 an ounce right now.
yeah. I thought about bringing that, but it would have taken up more room on the desk. So
Yeah, this is your. There's a good joke too. It'll probably be cut out, but I thought it was funny. All right, there's a show in agriculture every year since I've known. It's called Commodity Classic. It's where the checkoff groups like corn, soybeans, wheat, I don't know, where they all get together, they have their meetings, and they've decided to put those all into one big meeting. Now, I've always known it as a thing, but how did you get involved?
So I was on the National Corn Growers Board at the time, and the corn growers had their own summer meeting called the Corn Classic, and then they switched it to a winter meeting, it was Corn Classic. Soybeans had the Soybean Expo, it was always in the summer, and somebody had the idea of putting them together because in most cases, I raise corn and soybeans, you raise corn and soybeans. A lot of us are the same people. So, and they were getting pressure from the advertisers, the companies, that they didn't want to go to two different shows. It'd be more economical for them to go to one instead of two. So it made economic sense.
Yeah.
So I was on the steering committee to look at that to see if it was feasible to put them together. And we decided it was. So then they went forward, and then I was on the very first Commodity Classic committee, and I was the co-chair with another guy from Iowa representing soybeans the first 2 years of the show. So it started, we just had our 30th year, so it's been going for 30 years, and so I'm very proud of being part of that, and it's stuck around for 30 years. It's actually grown. The name was chosen for a reason. They didn't have to change the name. It could have been Corn Soy Classic, but it was Commodity Classic. So then they added a couple more commodities, and now they've added the equipment manufacturers. So the trade show is huge now. So it's a very good show, and I recommend people to go to that if they can.
Do you still go to it?
I went this year to celebrate the 30th year.
San Antonio, right?
It was San Antonio. I don't go every year.
Yeah.
Now I kind of pick my places that I want to go to and pay to go to.
Are you going to New Orleans next year?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, that's hit or miss.
It'll be a good show.
It's pretty warm in March
Yes.
compared to back here.
And they try to go to warm places in the wintertime. It's usually at the end of February. So
Yeah. So when you're doing this, was there any machismo? Was there any, no, corn is more important than beans, that type of thing?
the biggest hang up was corn had been already a winter meeting, and soybeans had been a summer meeting. So the biggest hurdle we had to get over was soybean guys on the committee thought we need to have things for kids and wives, and we go, it's during the school year, the kids won't be there,
Yeah.
or they're preschool and you don't have to have activities for them. And in a lot of cases, my wife was one, teachers, or spouses, so they can't go to that in the wintertime. So that was the biggest hurdle. But as far as the commodities themselves, no, it's like we're the same guys. I mean,
Yeah. It's funny how things have changed, hasn't it? Now we got almost as much women coming back as men to farms. all that thinking is kind of has to evolve.
it has. I've seen that in farm organizations. There's women involved now, which is great because we're all just people. So
They're probably better than us at farming and stuff.
supposedly
anyway.
women are better marketers because they don't have the attachment to
I was
grain.
gonna say doesn't take much to do better than probably you and I.
Well, yeah.
So if you have someone that is thinking about getting involved in stuff like this, and it's a time commitment, and you got stuff to do on your farm. I mean, what advice do you give them?
I tell people to get involved, and there's lots of choices. There's general farm organizations like Farm Bureau I've been involved with, but there's corn, soybeans, beef, pork, wheat. There's lots of commodity organizations.
The Farmers Union.
Yes.
Forgot that one.
All those, I'm not a member of that one, but there's lots of places for people to get involved.
Yeah.
Because it's always nice to be involved with something that's not in your own backyard. You meet people from other parts of the state, other states, other countries. So it gives you a better idea what's going on in the world rather than your own little circle in your, who you visit with in your coffee shop at home. So it expands your horizons.
You look back on your life, and was it the right decision to come back to the farm?
Absolutely. I always wanted to farm, so my parents gave me the opportunity to do that, and we're giving that opportunity to one of our sons now. So it's a great place to raise kids, and yep.
I always thought, it'd be cool, and I've gotten to this point where, I'm sitting in a tractor planting corn, and I'm looking across the field, and I'm seeing my son plant soybeans. I thought this is what it's all about. But all I do is worried about, well, is he doing that right?
That's one thing you just gotta let go.
Okay, that sounds easy.
Well, I talked about retiring, but I should have done it sooner than I did. But what I found is it's easier to keep doing what you're doing than to start thinking about how am I going to do all this? We've got 2 sons, and what's fair to the family as a whole rather than just one. And so it's easier to just keep doing what you're doing and not retire, but that's not fair to the next generation to hang on too long and not let them get going and build their future. So.
Well, you said your dad was 65. How old were you when your son got done with that?
So I was like 70.
Okay.
So
80 is not an old farmer anymore. I mean, it does, and it's because I don't know. I look at this picture with you and your 3010, and all the hard work that you used to do now. I mean, the cabs now are nice. You got the auto steer. It is a lot easier to do it. And it's like you've worked your whole life to get to this point, and now I'm supposed to just walk away.
That's why I'm still involved.
Yeah.
I still enjoy doing that. So.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I lost my dad, but it was, besides the advice and information, it was like just the running for a part or, getting the seed to the planter type of things.
So I'm doing that stuff now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for several years, I did it by myself. So then it's like, okay, do I plant today? Do I spray today? And so it's a lot less stress and hours on me now, even though I'm still doing stuff that, there's 2 of us to do stuff.
Probably didn't have pro boxes either.
No, everything went in with a bag.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's the worst part of the planting season is the very last field where you're opening bags. Like, this is so dumb.
Forklifts and pallets and pro boxes take a whole lot of work out of planting.
Are you on TikTok?
No.
Yeah, it's a shocker. Is there any place?
Is that because of my age?
Is there any place where people can get a hold of you?
If you want my phone number?
No.
My email?
Yeah, what's that?
KSKLEIN 713 at gmail.com.
Okay, they're going to have
Kent
to put that.
Sarah
No, they're going to
Klein.
have to put that on the bottom.
KSKlein 713 at gmail.com.
Okay. Let's wait a second as the people are writing that down.
Okay. Nobody will be writing
Get
it
me
down.
a pen.
Nobody will,
A pen.
Nobody will be writing it down.
I hope you get flooded with emails. Okay, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, not just because a person in agriculture, but because someone that was willing to give up their time and leadership and make agriculture a better place. So Kent Kleinschmidt from Emden, Illinois. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Everybody else, we'll catch you next time. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to explore more of our local content. You can connect with us on our social media platforms, visit our website, or download and watch the free PBS app. We can't wait to see you next time on A Shot of Ag.